The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Hello and welcome to Mindfully Thrive with me, your host, Ella Humphreys. This is the podcast that celebrates the present, the joy in where we are, the journey it's taken to get here, and the ability to see our greatness for the future. We celebrate female founders, adventure seekers, and creative entrepreneurs who are building their dreams alongside raising babies and any other life commitments that can so easily distract us from the path we truly desire. This is a podcast about coming back to who we are in this life, and that our dreams, goals, and ambitions are valid and possible, while also being a loving and present parent. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Mindfully Thrive. The opening quote by Socrates is a favourite of today's very special guest and friend, Caroline Phifer, who runs her company Caroline Phifer Advanced Skincare. Caroline is a holistic therapist and specializes in skincare. Alongside her business day, she currently homeschools as she has two daughters. Abby is 12 and Rosie's 5. They also have a dog called Sam. She's married to her husband Barry and they live on the beautiful coastline of North Wales. Caroline works in a bespoke one-to-one consultation way with her clients. Through her years of experience in holistic therapy, she has a deep understanding of the connection of nature and nurture, and how that plays a crucial role in caring for our skin. This holistic approach allows her to tailor-make the most effective programs to create beautiful, healthy skin for each client. Caroline's belief is that our skin is as individual as we are and should be treated that way. Stay with us as we discover what we can do today to improve the quality of our skin and hear some other gems of advice for our well-being. We'll also find out how Caroline has built a life of balance between her career and her family through listening to her nutrition and following her gut, doing what feels natural and leaning into the unfolding of what life presents as opportunities. We will discuss how work is so important for our mental health and how setting boundaries is fundamental in these times of trying to do it all. I'm so excited to share this inspiring story with you all today. So let's get started. So hi, Caroline, and welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, Ella. It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's a really exciting time to just connect face to face through Zoom, even at the moment. I'd like to just ask 3 questions that I ask all of my guests. So what are you grateful for today?
So today, Ella, I'm always grateful for having love in my life and for knowing how to love. And I've got a huge amount of gratitude for my husband for teaching me how to love. And he reminds me every day to live in, I think I'm going to call it the real world. He reminds me to laugh a lot, not be too serious. He's really good at grounding me and reminding me that life's all about the journey. It's not about being at your destination, but it's just going for it.
Beautiful. How special to have someone who keeps that on, as a reminder for us. Lovely. Okay, and what does to thrive mean to you?
So when I think about thriving, I think of abundance. I think of lots of energy. And I think about trusting with your energy, and it's all about being flowing and open. I think love comes into that as well, and vitality and excitement, and just being able to take a step forward and not looking backwards, and just being confident in yourself to be able to do that, and just being true to yourself and living mindfully. I think opening up to potentially being vulnerable, because you don't quite know what thriving is without maybe it not being too full of abundance. But I think also working out of your comfort zone, and I think that helps you to grow as well, and to thrive and to be stronger and trusting in yourself and trusting in the process. And I think it's all about flowing and not really looking back, not really regretting, but always thinking that your direction might change and
Mm-hmm.
just going with it.
Beautifully said. I totally agree with that. Really resonates with me. Lovely. Okay. And the last speed fire question is, what would your ideal morning look like?
Ideal morning. This is a perfect question. I love mornings. I'm a morning person. My mornings begin before I get out of bed. And I always try to do some meditation, some mindfulness, some focus, some creating an affirmation for the day. Once I'm out of bed, I practice a few minutes of some energy shift exercises, and sometimes I'll follow that with some havening as well.
Oh, wow, that sounds interesting. We can talk maybe about that a little bit more later on.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Happy
really
to
good.
share that.
Yeah, but also I do like to set a goal for the day. I think the younger me used to think that I could achieve lots of things throughout the day, and now I've decided that by setting maybe a smaller goal, it's possibly a little bit more achievable. And I really like to take a cold shower and have time for my skincare. I really like to make sure I have time to do my self-massage in the morning, drinking lots of water with lemon juice in it, and having a really good breakfast. I love breakfast. It's the most important meal for me. I have lots of high fats and high proteins and lots of green tea and all of my daily supplements. I feel that I'm ready to start the day. So my exercise is usually a brisk walk. We've got a dog, so maybe a brisk walk or a swim in some cold water somewhere.
Wow.
Then I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so daring and adventurous. I try and do the cold shower, but I last maybe 15 seconds and then it has to go to hot because
Oh, really?
I love hot showers. But I do appreciate having that jet of cold, but I can't stay in it for too long.
And I think I always used to feel like that, but as I'm changing and my hormones, I think I'm flowing into the next stage of life and appreciating my body being a bit cooler.
Okay, so we probably have a bit more about that later on. Could you sort of describe and share with our listeners what you do and how you help your clients?
Okay, so I like to take a 360-degree approach to skincare. And for me, I feel that our skin is a direct correlation to what's going on internally. So I like to concentrate on food choices and supplementation. I'm really keen of supplementation and making sure that our well-being is fully balanced. And we take skin specific supplements as well. And I also like to use quality skincare. Use skincare which complements the skin. I like to use ingredients which the skin completely understands, and it's a way of nurturing the skin and improving the health of the skin. So the skincare brand I choose to work with is Environ. It's a South African brand, and it's put together by Dr. Des Fernandez, and he's one of the world leading skin cancer experts. And all of his research has led to the belief that if our skin is deficient in vitamins and antioxidants and peptides, that's when changes occur in the skin. So I like to concentrate on putting back all of these essential vitamins and antioxidants and really protecting the skin and just changing the skin cells from maybe slightly unhealthy to really super healthy, younger versions of themselves. And I feel doing that through nourishment is, well, to me, it's absolutely key. Because, we need to nourish our whole being.
So really working from the inside out, the outside being our last layer to us, I suppose, but really you start from inside first and come outwards. Or they
absolutely
both work inside, because with the creams and everything that you use and all those treatments, but you don't neglect what's actually going on the inside, which is really fascinating, really.
Yeah, definitely. I really believe that what we put into ourselves can really affect how we feel mentally and physically and emotionally. And I think that does represent in how we show ourselves as well. Yeah, absolutely. And always protection as well.
So prior to where you're at now, and you've converted a bit of your living space into your clinic, did that come as a result of COVID, or was that just happening previous to COVID? How did all of that coincide? Was it a decision you made as a family?
So yeah. Really interesting question, Ella. So it was a family decision, absolutely. I think the girls felt that I was always at work, and they wanted me to be around a little bit more. We had some renovations to do at home, so I could work from here. It took a little while, and it just coincided with I just opened up 3 weeks before we were all on national lockdown because of the COVID.
Yeah, wow.
So
So,
it's been a testing year,
mm,
but it's been a great year. Absolutely great. I was practicing beforehand, and I was practicing in the local clinic where I rented a space. So
okay.
coming home just felt really natural,
Mm.
and it's just worked so well. I think it's one of my better decisions I've ever made in life. It's
That's
great.
really great to hear, because I'm sure there's listeners that are in that indecisive moment of knowing whether it's going to totally invade your living space, and you're, having that divide between what's work and what's home, but it's finding that balance between the two and seeing the positives and making it compatible.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why it had to be a family decision, because
Mm.
where I'm working from, it was the old playroom. And so that was a huge choice for the girls,
Yeah,
not just for me and my husband. But it's worked really well. And it just means, especially in COVID times, that I can still work, I can continue to work, and I can be here for the girls as well.
and it's really interesting because you studied holistic therapies.
Yeah.
What made you choose to go down the route of skincare specifically? I mean, I'm sure your holistic training brought you into many different avenues and exploration of different types of therapies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love all of it, and I love connecting with people. And I think I realized one day that I was starting to feel I was looking a little bit older,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps I didn't really understand how much protection plays a huge part in our self care, and maybe I didn't use the same level of UV protection that I now recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I realised that I wanted to look a little bit more vibrant. I wanted to feel a little bit more vibrant. Throughout my whole life, I've always turned to nutrition, and I've always believed in what we put in is a direct influence on how we feel and how we look. But I could also see that the elements were starting to play a part in my aging process as well. And I think just realizing that if I was interested in that, then maybe other people were interested in
Mm-hmm.
that. And what can I do to make people feel better? That's always what I wanted to do. It's always been my goal to empower people to feel really good about themselves. So how can I do that from doing lots of regular massage? How can I then move into more about the skin?
Mm-hmm.
And I began by combining the two, working on some really interesting facial techniques, all about lifting and toning and firming the facial muscles. And from
Okay.
there, it was just a natural progression. Yeah, natural progression to wanting to learn more about the skin, and how does the skin become aged? How does it become damaged? And what can we do to reverse that?
Mm-hmm.
And and stumbling across the advanced nutrition program and Environ and Jane Airedale, the skincare makeup I use. It was just a light bulb moment.
Really.
And yeah, absolutely. There's a company who is called the International Institute for Anti-Aging,
Mm-hmm.
and I stumbled across one of their advertisements for the nutrition, and instantly I just got in touch. And there's such a fantastic company to be affiliated with. They're do lots of training, and it's a company. It's all about empowering people, and education is key. And it's all about
Mm-hmm.
educating therapists, educating clients, and just learning how to care for ourselves in a really positive way.
Wow. So you're working independently. You are your own boss, and you practice at home, yet you feel like there is a massive network of support and tools and resources to really help you grow into the best skincare specialist you can be with those companies that you work with. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Ella. Yeah,
Because it can
exactly
be
right.
quite lonely running your own business, especially if you're working from home and not going out to a space where you meet and interact with others who are working in the same industry or in the same clinic even.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And it can be incredibly isolating. And sometimes just to bounce your ideas off somebody else,
Yeah.
it's really important. And to build that network, that yeah, like you say, the community, it's vital, I think, especially if you're working on your own.
And do you feel
And
like
that's
in
really
the
important.
area that you're in, Anglesey and North Wales, you are in a community with others who work in a similar field to yourself? Have you reached out to others in that way to help you feel a bit more supported?
So I do, in maybe not being skin specific, because not too many people around here that concentrate on that, and also the brands I work with. But I do reach out to other therapists in different parts of the UK and Ireland, and we've got such great networks of just helping each other out. It's really, really helpful. And again, this is down to the IIAA and all the wonderful training we do, and meeting other people and networking. And I do reach out to other local, I guess, women who support women in business.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a lot of that support around here, and I think we're really good at helping to support and empower each other and be there in lots of different businesses. I think it's really important.
I find it fascinating because, as you know, I've spoken before in the past with you about how my mum was into holistic therapy and yoga and meditation from very early on. And in that area at the time, she was one of the few people that started a yoga center and had Reiki and reflexology, many different holistic therapies to help people. But it was always seen as alternative. And when you started how old were you when you really discovered the importance of the holistic approach and like well-being and caring for yourself?
Yeah, I think I've always had this knowing that there's another way. I remember being really young and being in the doctor's surgery, and the doctor never addressing me, always speaking to my mum, and they had this conversation about me, never once included me. I was then prescribed some medication, and I just wondered how is that possible? He hasn't even caught eye contact with me. And how can he just prescribe something, and what's that supposed to do? And I had all these questions that my mum, bless her, she couldn't answer. And she was, just do what you're told, Caroline, stop being troublesome, do it. And I think when I was 14, I remember going to an osteopath for the first time and just thinking it was a light bulb moment. This therapist was the most amazing woman I'd ever come across. She knew how to manipulate muscles and different parts of your body and to make you feel connected again and to make you feel whole. And how could you do that through touch? I was just absolutely hooked from then on, completely hooked.
And did you have any conflict or resistance from those around you as you kept having more clarity in going down that route of holistic therapies? Was it something that you had to really fight for, or did you just follow your intuition and know it was going to be okay?
Yeah, I followed my intuition. I never once knew that it was going to be okay. I often had voices. I had people telling me that, oh, why do you have to be so different? Why do you have to be? Why can't you just be normal? But I never felt comfortable just being normal. I just wanted to know. I had this longing to understand myself, understand the world, and I was just curious and fascinated by religions and beliefs and art and just life. I just had such a thirst for it.
And so that was just so much clarity for you that was your path. So the courage that you had when everyone was sort of saying that's not professional, or maybe you need to look at other avenues, you just had an innate drive to keep going in your own direction.
Yeah, I think I tried conforming. And I went to university and I went to study art, and I realized that it was great. And, I have so much respect for anyone who goes to university and gets a degree, and it's hard work. It's a lot of dedication to that. But I always felt there was something more. I felt like I needed to give more, and I wanted to give, and to give actually made me feel more me. And that just seemed to be more important. And I do think sometimes we have a path and we follow the path, but sometimes if it's not too clear, it's when we change the route slightly, go a slightly different way.
And so when did your girls join you in this journey? At what point were you at in your career when you had family, or did the family come first and then you developed a new business, or how did that all work out?
So I started running my own business very slowly, and then before I knew it, I was pregnant with Abby, and it was
now 12.
She's now 12, yeah, almost 13, and it was it's quite a big learning curve. I never made any decisions on did I want to have children, did I not want to have children, and I just thought if ever I was blessed with a child, then I'd just go with it, and surely this is the universe just giving me such a wonderful gift. And after having Abby, I think during the whole pregnancy, I blossomed. I had a fantastic pregnancy, the most beautiful, blissful birth. It was just perfect. And then all of a sudden, I was responsible for this beautiful baby. And yes, I could understand her. Yes, I could communicate with her, but I didn't quite get it all, Ella. It was all quite difficult. And I just assumed, being brought up on a farm, that all women who can carry a baby and give birth know what to do. But I think knowing what to do and managing to put it into practice is a little bit of a challenge. So I think when I had Abby, I spent so much time with her. She was on me to do every single thing, hanging the washing out. She was attached to me, and just no time apart at all. And I just gave everything I could possibly give to her. And I think at that point, I realized that I was starting to come down into a bit of a deep hole. And this deep hole was somewhere that, perhaps, I don't know if I'd ever been there before. I didn't quite understand it. And I knew that I could feel good and feel positive and full of life, but I just felt that somehow something was just taken away from me. So I think at that point, when Abby was starting to get a little bit more independent, so she was probably, I don't know, a couple of years old, that I decided that I had to start giving myself self-care, because I'd forgotten to do that. I was just busy giving to clients when I was working, to my husband, to my beautiful baby, to friends and family, and just completely forgetting about myself. So I think I just realized that to become me, I had to start investing in myself again. And also, I'd almost forgotten all the tools and techniques that I'd previously learned in life. Yeah. So it was almost like a reminder. It was almost like needing to have people around me who were really inspiring and people who I could learn from and grow through, but to kind of become a better version of the mum I was becoming. So I don't know, does that journey ever stop? I don't know.
I don't think
You've got
so.
children.
We're still on it. I think it's a daily practice of reminding yourself to come back to you. Yeah. Amongst all the other stuff that are going on. And
do you know, Ella, I think that's key, a daily practice. Yeah. Because I think sometimes we can be so busy that we don't always do that.
No, I think that's why, like you said, the mornings are so special and so crucial, because that's when you squeeze in that time to really nourish yourself, which prepares you then for the rest of the day, especially in the field that you work in. You're very much giving back to other people. You're in other people's energy. It requires a lot of your own energy when you're working hands-on with clients like you do, and then your family, obviously. So filling yourself up first. Yeah, and I do think we go through phases where we do forget, and we have to just sort of take that pause.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the segment in the episode where we share some inspiration, some downtime moments for you to relax, learn, or to do some things that we've been up to this week. So, Caroline, what are you currently reading?
At the moment, I'm reading a book called Grown Ups, and it's by Marian. Oh, it's fantastic, just lightweight, and it's just talking about the dramas and everyday of a family, an extended family. Really love it. It's just one of those books.
Marian.
She's great, isn't she? You just can't put it down. It's one of those books.
And what are you currently watching, if anything, if you have time for that?
So we do have a TV and we do watch TV, but we don't spend a lot of time watching TV in our house. But I think the favourite thing at the moment is Friends. So Abby is she just adores Friends. And we very often just sit down and watch a couple of episodes. And I think it's one of those that, one episode goes into the next episode, and before you know it, you've actually been on the sofa for a couple of hours. But I think it's just fun.
It's timeless. Watching them over and over, and especially now as your kids grow up, it's something that you used to watch on your own and now you're able to share it with your children is lovely.
Yeah,
And what are
it's
you
great.
currently listening to, if anything? A podcast or an audiobook or music? What's been going
So,
around in your sound?
so a friend of mine, she's a professional, she's a microblader, and she's recently invited me to be a member of Clubhouse. And
Uh-huh.
Clubhouse is at, are you familiar with
Yeah,
Clubhouse?
only just
It's
discovering.
yeah, it's great, isn't it? So I listen to lots of women, inspiring women in business and confidence building and salon entrepreneurs and mumpreneurs and just listening to just having inspiration and finding out how other people have done things and what works and what maybe doesn't work and some tips and
So Clubhouse is basically a new app which you at the moment need to be given an invite to access, and then inside that app there are lots of chat rooms, isn't that right, where you can actually
yeah.
chat with all sorts of people. Everyone has the conversation, so it's similar to a podcast, but it's open to anyone that's in that room or who can access that room.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, it's great.
What are you currently using? Have you got an app, a prop, a gadget that you are using at the moment?
So I like to use my roll kit, my Environ roller, and I use that quite a few times a week. I'd say probably at least 5 times a week. And so I like to apply some of my products. I cleanse and tone my skin, and then in the evening I'll use my roller. And sometimes I'll do it when I'm just watching television and just roll my skin, and it just allows for the active topical products to go that little bit further into the epidermis, so just into the very top layers of the skin. And it's just all about changing the health of the skin cells. So I love to do that. And I also use some gua sha crystals as well. So gua sha is a traditional Chinese medicine form of self-care and care for, you can go to a gua sha therapist and have a massage. And it's just a way of using crystals, drain lymph from the skin, to energize the skin, to really improve the blood flow. But it's lovely that, the quality of the crystals as well really helps with your skin as well. It's such a lovely self-care.
In what way do you use those crystals? Do you lie with them on your skin?
So the shaped crystals, and they're shaped in a way that's really nice to hold them, but then you use them actually on your skin as well. It's a little bit different, so that they're almost flat.
Okay.
So the ones I use are in a heart shape. And they're in a heart shape, so you can use the different elements of the shape. So some kind of almost, if you can visualize the top of the heart, that's really nice to kind of work along the jawline. So it's all about just improving definition and removing toxins and stimulating all the muscles as well, and the blood flow. I love doing that.
Interesting. I'll have to investigate a bit more about that. So we've talked quite a bit about how the importance of balance is, and finding boundaries when you're building businesses in your homes. How do you find balance in your day? And could you recommend to our listeners who are also trying to build a business maybe, or commit to a creative project around the family, especially during these times, what they might be able to do to create some habits or build on structure, some time management skills, or anything that could be of service to those who are beginning the journey?
Okay, that's a good question, isn't it? And I think, to be fair, that's probably one of the hardest questions for me. I think time management's really difficult. But for me, I really need to concentrate in the morning and just make sure that I'm ready and set up for the day. And it kind of revolves around the school day as well. I try and structure the day so the girls have some guidance from me as well. So Rosie, the youngest one, she needs a lot of guidance for the homeschooling. So we generally just I try to break my day up into different parts of the day, and so I'll allocate a few hours or maybe even an hour at some point just to do things like I don't know, working out where we're going to start with the schoolwork. Then we're going to have a bit of a break. Lunchtime, we always have some kind of exercise around about lunchtime just to break the day up a little bit. And then afternoon, maybe there's time in there for me to do a little bit more work. But I think time management's a real challenge for, especially in COVID, when you're trying to work with your business. And I think it's one that we can all learn from, definitely. And if it's not working, just don't beat yourself up, and just try and change things. Maybe tomorrow try and run things a little bit differently. And I think for me, during the first lockdown, I put a lot of pressure on myself to feel that I was succeeding in every single avenue. And I found it quite a challenge when I wasn't succeeding everywhere. And so I think now I just try to be a lot more honest with my expectations from the day as well. And just make sure that we always see positives, and we always sit down at the end of the day and just, give me 3 points, what was really good today. And let's just be grateful for where we are and what we've got to. And I think being mindful, living in the moment, is so important right now. And I think that's such a key part of getting through.
Definitely. And I remember right at the beginning listening to a Glennon Doyle talking on Instagram. I don't know if you've read her book Untamed. Fabulous story, a book all about untaming what we've been brought up to believe is the right way of being, like behaving, being good. And she mentioned how what she remembers from her childhood and what she's continuing to do with her children is having bookends. So opening the day in a really positive, happy way, and being there and connecting with your children very early on in the day, and then closing the day with something high and positive, some fun, and just reconnecting with them. So making sure that the beginning and the ends of the day are very positive and fulfilling for you and your children. And then it doesn't really matter what else went on throughout the rest of the day, just knowing that you've tried your best to finish the day well and happily.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's great advice.
We're all just making it up as we go along, really, day by day. How do you recharge your own source of energy? Like we mentioned earlier, you're giving a lot of energy to many people around you. How do you recharge that? So, I suppose that would come into your self-care rituals.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And also I try to bring daily exercise, some form of exercise with the girls, and I try to bring that into daily life. So it's never going to be, hopefully it's never going to be a chore for them to actually exercise, that they just see it as part of the way of being. So what definitely
kind of things do you do?
So being out in nature is really important for me. So when we're allowed to walk wherever we want, being in mountains, being up high, I really enjoy that. And also being really grounded, being near water as well, being with people who you care about as well, and being, connecting with people. Like you mentioned that earlier, Ella, it's a time when we don't connect like we used to connect in. It's so important when we can. It's
Definitely
great to get that.
And so you've mentioned a couple of times, and I do obviously like to bring it up. And would you feel like mindfulness has played a part in your journey and coming to where you're at?
How important? So, definitely. And I think what was quite interesting I don't know if many other people feel like this, Ella, but I think mindfulness played a massive part before I even knew it was mindfulness, before I realized it had a name, before I realized it was kind of, at the moment, it's kind of a little bit on trend, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, which is great. It's so good that people are more aware of the benefits of it. But I think it's always been there. And when I'm not being as mindful, that's when I feel that chaos kind of starts to enter parts of my being, and that's not great. So being mindful is so important, definitely. But just to share those skills as well, and to try and teach the girls that being mindful is as simple as just being aware of what drink you're drinking,
exactly,
or how you're pouring something, or hanging the washing on the line, or tying your shoelaces. It doesn't have to be
No, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's just reminding yourself to come back to the present and what is it that's going on in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I invite you now to reconnect with your body. Sit comfortably if that's possible, and gently bring your eyes to a close. If you're in a safe place to do so, notice your feet making contact with the ground. Filling your body with a deep inhale, in through the nose. Imagine the oxygen spreading to all corners of your body. Slowly breathing out and exhaling any discomfort that might be present right now. Gently taking another deep inhale and a slow cleansing exhale, bringing gentle awareness to the natural rhythm of your breath. There's no need to force or exaggerate it. Allowing it to just be easy and steady. I invite you now to remind yourself that the outer world is a reflection of your inner, so focus on the beauty within yourself, your good qualities, your kindness, your gifts and talents. Remember that what you give your attention to grows. Everyone has some beauty in their soul, so seek it in others. Remind them of their beautiful qualities and you will illuminate them. Surround yourself with things and people with a beautiful vibration. For we are all influenced by that which is around us. As you tune more and more into the incredible wonder of yourself and others and the planet, your resonance becomes that of beauty. Others perceive the radiance of your soul and are touched by it. Holding this affirmation in your heart as you go about your day today, I recognize my beauty and that of others. I recognize my beauty and that of others. Taking another inhale. I wonder if you could share with the listeners 3 top tools or habits that they might be able to begin implementing, and so that they can stick with a routine that doesn't feel too overwhelming or complicated. And I'm basically asking this question specifically for myself as I'm terrible at maintaining any kind of beauty routine. So what are my 3 must-dos? So
I think the first and most important type of skincare is SPF. So it doesn't matter what weather, no matter what kind of day it is, it's sunny, it's rainy, it's rainy, windy, always use a broad spectrum SPF. So that's an SPF which protects from UVA and UVB rays. UVA rays are the burning rays. They're the ones that come from daylight. They're the ones which come from blue light. So mobile phones, laptops, computers, LED lights, anything like that is a blue ray which actually goes deep inside the dermis, so the deeper layers of the skin cells, and they actually create quite a lot of havoc with the skin cells. So UVA protection is really good at just to help to make sure that doesn't happen. And UVB is obviously the burning ray. That's the ray that we can feel. That's the ray that most people are really familiar with. So having that broad spectrum protection every single day is absolutely crucial. So that would be my number 1 tip. Another tip would be, it's difficult to choose between cleanser, moisturizer, but I think just looking after your skin. If you have dry skin, just make sure it's a little bit hydrated. But as you're applying your products, just have a little bit of massage, really encourage the lymph, really encourage the blood circulation, and just really, I encourage you to care for yourself. I think that's really important. Of course, there's some products which I think are absolutely fantastic, but I think the essence of just caring for yourself is just really vital. And another thing is, I'm a huge fan of havening, and my friend Susanna Platt, she's an emotional freedom technique teacher and havening instructor, and she's taught me so much about havening. It's practice, and you can literally just, you can do it to yourself. So you can literally just put your palm to palm and just rub your hands around, or you can touch your opposite shoulder to opposite elbow and just stroke down your arms. And you can also haven your face, so you can literally use the palms of your hands and work from your forehead all the way down the front of your face, and just keep stroking. And as you're stroking, you use positive words about yourself, and it works on the biological structure of the brain. It's all about the delta waves and how they're affected in the brain, and it just helps to reprogram your thought process. So just that self-care, the touch for me is very important, because I feel that touch is one of my love languages. So I know maybe not everybody resonates with the power of touch, but for me it's really important.
And so interesting, because I was just thinking about the love languages and how they reflect on our relationships with other people. And the question is, how often do we use those same love languages on ourselves? And havening is exclusively giving back to yourself.
Yeah, it is definitely. And time and touch. So, you know, it resonates with a few different of the love languages. Yes, absolutely. I find it very important. And such an easy skill. I want to share the skill for everybody to learn it.
Beautiful. So maybe you could do, for the listeners, for them to find out more, one of your Instagram posts could possibly just see a visual of what that means. Maybe follow
that's a great
podcast. You could leave a little post there where they can get in touch and see what havening actually looks like.
That's a great idea, Ella.
Wonderful. So if any of this has resonated with our listeners, where can they go to find out more about you and what it is that you do?
So I am on Instagram at Caroline Phifer. So Phifer is Phifer. I've also got a website which is about to be launched, and that's www.carolineadvancedskincare.co.uk.
Wonderful. Well, Caroline, thank you so much for being our guest on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I feel like it's jam-packed with lots of special nuggets of love and care, especially for oneself.
Oh, thanks, Ella. It's been such a delight speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you for being present with us during our chat today, listening to Caroline's story and her gentle reminder of the need to, before all else fails, return to self. The art of self-care goes deep into our nervous system. The benefits ripple out and last for days, if not weeks, when we give ourselves time. The importance of creating meaningful moments to connect with yourself through touch and time builds on your self-esteem. Having love for self may require making some small adjustments of perhaps only 5 minutes. Having a stretch in the morning, stepping outside and breathing deeply into the fresh air, or reading before sleep, if only a page. For me, applying some night cream and making that act a little slower than the day before, prioritizing some gentle massage, or simply sitting down to a nourishing breakfast. Noticing these moments in the day when you have given back to yourself, refilling the cup to then share with others. Reflect on your day as you get into bed. List all the things you did as kindly acts for self today. You are the biggest priority in your life. It doesn't require lavishness and acts of selfishness, but perhaps more acts of kindness and compassion in the pockets of moments you create around everything else. All the details mentioned in the episode can be found in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review to help me grow the show. I'll see you next Saturday.